So here's a pattern I made, and I made this pattern in Sculptress, and then I also created the wings in 3D Builder and put them together in 3D Builder. And 3D Builder allows me to pull down the sides on a 3D printed object. So that way when I cast it, I don't have any sides that are going to tear out the sand. Right now I'm just putting parting powder on the board and getting ready to set up the skull on the board and get it ready for sand casting so the sand doesn't stick to it. I always, on my 3D parts, I always try and prime them and paint them, and that makes it a slicker surface so that way the sand doesn't stick to it. I also feel if you get a good casting, you don't want to see any 3D printed lines. So that's one of the things that you can do to your 3D prints to make them look a lot cleaner when you cast them. Here I'm just sorting the sand, putting it through a filter so that way I get a good facing sand on it. And now I'm just throwing sand in there and packing it down. So yeah, here's scraping off the back, and then I'll go ahead and flip this over and we'll go ahead and get the top ready for it. Again, putting party powder, yeah, that's not what that is. It's baby powder that I use for parting powder. And again, the sand's not going to stick to itself. This is my new casting flask that I made. It has pins that go in the side through metal tubes that are cut to size, so that way those pins fit in there tight and I don't have any movement. Again, I'm putting facing powder on the part to give it a smooth finish, but it's not really necessary because it's just the it's just the pouring, the sprue, and the gate, and I imagine that the aluminum would flow through there just fine even if I didn't put fine powder on there. This part I was really running into trouble. I just dumped the rest of my sand in there out of my bucket and realized I'm not going to have enough sand. So unfortunately, I wish I could have packed it better, because you're going to see in just a little bit this is going to cause me some problems. I also think I didn't have the sand slightly wet enough, so there's a little bit of crumbling rather than it just pulling out. It would have been nice if it was just a little bit more moist, so that way I wouldn't have that crumbling. Yeah, I'm just cleaning up the basin that I just made with that pipe on the other side. Now I'm just cutting a flow path for the aluminum to flow through to the part. I like to do it on the back. It's easier just to machine off or to sand off the channel off the back of the pattern than it is when it's completed, rather than to try and trim up the side and make it look nice. So right here is one of the places where I get in trouble. So because there's not enough sand, I would normally lay this flat down and push the rod through there, and it wouldn't poke the sand out the back. But because I don't have enough sand, I can't lay it flat, so I'm just using my hand to hold the parts of the sand from completely poking out. These are the air holes, so that way as it fills full aluminum, the steam from the sand and air that was in the cavity will come out and not cause a problem with the casting. Here I wish I could have done a better job this. I don't know, maybe I needed the sand packed more, but the straightness of that chin of the skull was a little ambitious, so that way when I pulled it out, it ended up weakening, and you can see the tear out at the chin of the skull. And so I'm not going to try and repair that, because I always feel like when I try and repair something, I make it 10 times worse. So I'm just going to let it fly, and maybe after it casts, I'll go ahead and clean that up a little bit, or as best I can. Again, just trying to clean the basin up a little bit and clean it down into the pouring sprue, make it more rounder for it to flow in. So now I'm just going to add more aluminum. Clean off the dross at the top. These parts that I'm putting in were given to me by a coworker at work. He was very gracious enough to give me some castable aluminum. These were from hard drives, and he broke the hard drives down so there wouldn't be any information left on them, but he gave me the housing to the hard drives, which is a very good castable aluminum, so I definitely appreciate that. Aluminum, something that makes aluminum good for casting is to have a high silicon content. It makes the aluminum have a little bit less of a melting point. It also gives it a better flow. If if you try to do pop cans, you probably won't get the same outcome as you do with aluminum that has silicon content in it. I think my little forge there, it makes a puffing sound, and I think it's not made quite as good as it should be from the manufacturer. It sounds like the air is having a little bit of a problem, so I guess I'll work on that eventually. This is one of the biggest pours I've done yet. Again, I'm still amazed that it can all go down that little sprue. And I was getting kind of worried about how much aluminum was going down in there, but I didn't see any come out the sides, so I was hoping it all went where it was supposed to. I was expecting to have a little bit of aluminum left over for the muffin pan, but obviously that didn't happen. It took the whole entire, a pretty good size of that crucible of aluminum. Now it's time to open it up. I'm always impressed with how shiny it is when it opens up, because the air, it hadn't had a chance to oxidize in the area, and man, that aluminum is really pretty shiny as soon as you pop it open. I was pretty happy with the casting. I'm pointing there that there's some flaws in it, you know, like where I mentioned where there was breakout on the chin. There's extra aluminum there that I'm gonna have to cut down. But other than that, it looks pretty good. The main thing that I'll show at the end is that some of the things that happened was there was the sand had gotten loose in the mold, and so along the forehead, down the nose, and down to the chin on the casting, it actually has little pits in there that I think the sand rolled back in the mold. And of course, since that was the bottom of the mold, that's where the sand went and stayed. The other issue with it, you can see up here, is the tip of the wings have a little bit of sand in there. It's not in it, but you can actually see that the sand actually caused a casting problem. But yeah, you can see it came out really well. Other than that, I wish I could get a little bit cleaner. Here I am cleaning up the flashing that was on the side from the sand breaking out. Just taking a bandsaw and getting rid of all it. This is fast forward. I wish my bandsaw worked this quick, but that doesn't happen. Thanks for watching my video. Now you can help me out. Subscribe to my channel and give me a like. Thanks a lot.